Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic. So, President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are racing against the clock to finalize a ceasefire agreement in Gaza. The proposed deal aims to halt hostilities between Israel and Hamas and facilitate the release of hostages held in Gaza. Now, U.S. officials, along with mediators from Qatar, have intensified efforts with a critical 24-hour window cited for finalizing the agreement. This diplomatic push comes in mounting humanitarian concerns and international pressure. Both leaders reportedly exchanged ideas on improving humanitarian aid flow while ensuring Israeli security needs are met. Momentum is building, but will this be the breakthrough that Gaza needs? And will this be the financial burden that the United States of America is alleviated and extracted from? These are the stories that Americans want to hear, where we're no longer paying for other people's foreign wars with other foreign countries. Because again, America has a special interest in a lot of these wars and a lot of these conflicts and a lot of these countries. But Americans, everyday Americans, are yet to know those special interests, and there needs to be more transparency within the government. This is not tyranny. This is not a dictatorship. This is a republic that almost acts as a democracy, but nonetheless, we elect and we select our officials, so they should let us know what's going on with our country if it does not, in any form or fashion, threatens national security. And this is one of the key figures because he is one of the officials that's trying to broker the deal by the way of his prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, and our president, Joe Biden, our current president, Joe Biden, by the way. But in an unexpected twist in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, two North Korean soldiers fighting alongside Russian forces was captured in Kursk region by the Ukrainian troops. South Korea's National Intelligence Service confirmed the shocking development. Despite global speculations, the soldiers have shown no intent to defect to South Korea. Ukrainian President Ukrainian President Zelensky is reportedly considering diplomatic avenues, including repatriation to North Korea, meaning deporting them back to their country. But this rare international incident raises questions about North Korea's role in supporting Russia and the broader implication for global alliances in this conflict. Do not forget that Russia and North Korea are allies. Also, these are some of the countries, with the exception of North Korea, but China, Russia, Brazil, India, they're part of the BRICS. So a lot of these countries have international dealings with one another, and they are forming their own sort of G summit or NATO. So look for a lot of these countries that has been ousted by Western powers, especially the United States of America, to join forces, as you see here. They have North Korean troops fighting alongside Russian troops, but this is not the first time. Do not forget there's been North Korea troops fighting with Russia, as well as Chinese troops fighting with Russia. So again, Ukraine is in a three-headed war with soldiers they don't even know they were part of the war initially. But we are funding this war. We are not NATO allies with Ukraine, but we are allies given the amount of money that we've given to them. We've given them billions of dollars. We've given them military equipment. We've given them pretty much anything that President Zelensky has asked for. And that needs to come to a halt. That needs to come to an end. And hopefully the new administration that be taking office here on the 20th can get this deal done where the war is ended and innocent lives are saved and countries that are now in shambles can start to rebuild. And hopefully this is the last conflict that these two countries may have. Right. And so other dictators, other countries that play won't be involved in this, because I believe anytime that you give your troops in combat to another country, my only question is, what are you getting out of the deal? No one's doing anything for nothing. As I told my son, everything costs money. Leaked communications revealed that Denmark sent secret messages to Donald Trump's administration regarding Greenland during his presidency. Now, this revelation comes as Trump's controversial interest in purchasing Greenland's resurface. What's even more surprising, a new poll shows a majority of Greenland residents might actually support the idea of joining the United States, citing potential economic opportunities and geopolitical advantages. Is this the prospect of Greenland becoming a U.S. territory still on the table? Because if so, if they're stating that majority of the Greenlanders want to become Americans or be a territory of America, then what is to stop this country from allowing that to happen? See, at one point, this was taking Donald Trump's comments seriously. Now they're taking it literally because now their people supposedly are speaking out about this. They're like, no, we don't think that's a bad idea. We're up here on the largest island in the world, and Denmark has not provided any defense by the way of Russian submarines can come in and destroy Greenland anytime they want. We don't have any special technology of defense, but we know that the U.S. can provide defense. We know that the U.S. can provide economic opportunities. We know that the U.S. is one of the strongest dollars in the world. So why is this a bad idea? Oh, because Denmark is responsible for Greenland. Even though Greenland supposedly is an independent state, but they still depend on Denmark for a lot of their resources and even their national defense. So as we look at this, Greenland population is only 56,000 people. That's it. This is 56,000 people on this very large island. Okay, it states here that it's the world's largest island and is necessary for U.S. national security via Russia and China. The Danish government wants to convince Trump, including through the messages passed to his advisor this week, that his security concerns can be addressed without claiming Greenland for the U.S. So they necessarily don't want to give up Greenland at all because they understand the resources that Greenland has access to and the strategic value of Greenland and how it's positioned in the world when it comes to China and Russia. It also states that Denmark is widely seen as one of the closest allies of the U.S. within the EU, and no one could have imagined it be the first country with which Trump would pick a fight. I don't think he's picking a fight. I think he's trying to make a deal. He's a businessman at heart, and he's always willing to make a deal. But now he's making deals when it comes to our national security. And if the Greenlandic people want that, then is that a dictatorship? Or is that just a power play by Denmark altogether? Now, the Danish officials have already said they are looking into further measures to increase investment in military infrastructure and capabilities in Greenland in consultation with Greenlandic government. So now that Donald Trump is on stage and he's given his bid, he's tearing into these countries about the strategic value, whether it be military or economic or natural resources. Now you want to pay attention. It's kind of like a guy has been dating a girl for a very long time and everybody else is telling her how beautiful she is, how nice a person she is. Not necessarily that she deserves better, but the person she's with doesn't really cater to her the way that others probably would. That's the way I kind of look at this situation. America would do well by Greenland. Look at the opportunities and economic advancements that America have altogether. Again, this will serve both of our purpose. If the majority of Greenlandic people are stating that we would like to entertain becoming an American territory, we would like to entertain becoming Americans. So again, that may kill a lot of history. There's going to be a lot of history buzz. Oh, well, these are very, these are descendants of Vikings, and there's a lot of history here. And again, give the people what they want. Things transform and change over time. And that doesn't mean that this can't change. Should Greenland always be its independent country by the way of Denmark? Or is it very possible that Greenland here in the next 4 years could definitely be a territory of America? That would be intriguing. That would be very, very different. Because again, polls found majority of Greenland respondents support joining the U.S. A lot of them are really entertaining this. So look out more for that. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and thank you guys for joining me here this morning. And as I was telling you guys, the US dollar is experiencing its strongest rally since the 2022 bear market, shaking up global markets and impacting Bitcoin's performance. Analysts warn that Bitcoin may face turbulence as the dollar strengthens, squeezing liquidity from risk on assets. However, Bitcoin enthusiasts remain optimistic, highlighting the asset's resilience amidst macroeconomic uncertainties. This week, 5 key factors are set to shape Bitcoin trajectory, including Federal Reserve decisions and global economic data. Could this be the calm before the crypto storm? Don't forget, a lot of these Bitcoin analysts stated that Bitcoin is going to hit 100,000, and it has hit 100,000. Now it's not there now. I think we're teetering around, 92, 94,000%. I have that to look at my stock portfolio when it comes to cryptocurrencies, let alone Bitcoin. But nonetheless, I don't know if you guys are investing in Bitcoin, but I am, and I don't even have an entire Bitcoin. But my profit off of Bitcoin so far is $10,000. Don't let the IRS know that, because anything over $9,999, they're like, how much you made last year? Oh yeah, we want a piece of that. But nonetheless, this could be a great investment. And again, if you guys are just getting in on this, and this is not official stock advice, I'm just telling you what I have done, because again, I love the fact that the US dollar is operating in a very strong manner, better than it did back in the 22 bear markets. But I also want Bitcoin to do well. Can both be true at the same time? Indeed, it can. But let's go over a couple of countries that the dollar is very strong in. Okay, the dollar is very strong in Mexico. One of the most liked places by Americans where a lot of us have vacation. A lot of you have went to Cancun. You have went to Cozumel, Puerto Plata. You have also went to, there's a country that my wife and I, we love going to, and it is Puerto Riata. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, and hopefully I said that correctly, but nonetheless, very, very beautiful and safe place. And last but not least, one of the last places my friends and my wife went to, we went to Tulum. Very expensive, believe it or not, to be in Mexico, but it was very beautiful. The beaches were peachy keen, clean. I mean, the sand was soft. You ever guys been on the beach and you felt like the sand was rough and like it almost had like glass or rocks in it? Not in Tulum. Tulum, the sand was succulent and soft. I don't know how to explain sand in such a very subtle way. It was soft and comfortable to have your toes in it, but I digress. But the dollar is definitely strong in Mexico. I'm not trying to sell Mexico to anyone, just telling you my experiences. Poland, the dollar strong in Poland as well. 1 US dollar to every 4 zloty. Also, South Africa, 1 USD to 17, roughly 18 Rand. Vietnam, you see that large number there, 1 US dollar. In Brazil, I've been to Brazil, very beautiful country. Okay, so you have the Brazilian reals, where it's almost $6 per 1 American dollar. So a lot of these places that people are reluctant to travel because it's so expensive. The most expensive thing, unfortunately, is your plane ticket. But once you get into country, I want you guys to think about it like this. If you have $100,000 in your bank account, or you have $100,000 in asset, and a lot of you who own houses already do, when you land in a lot of these countries where the American dollar is 5 times the amount, 3 times the amount, you guys are automatically millionaires in those countries. You're going to be able to afford probably 90% of what that particular country cannot afford. That is how powerful the US dollar is. Get out and travel. Use the prosperity of America and the business acumen of people who have been doing business with America for your benefit. And I'm talking about vacation mostly. Okay, or you can go over there and do business with a lot of these countries, okay, and not spend the same amount of money you would in America. Portugal. I know a lot of people go to Lisbon, which is the capital there. Egypt, for every 1 USD, you see there's 49 Egyptian pounds. Argentina, you see that as well, these very large number of pesos. I'm just going down the list. Indonesia, a very, very beautiful country. You guys should get out and travel. Use that American dollar, especially when Donald Trump comes back in office. And again, a lot of us banking that the economy will do even better than it, is today. A lot of you guys who want to go over to these cold European countries, but yet also beautiful, like Lithuania, go ahead and travel there. So this was a small list of countries that you guys might enjoy using that American dollar. Again, we should have some benefits being the most powerful country and economic driven country in the world. Capitalism doesn't suck when it uses it to your benefit. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has taken aim at President-elect Donald Trump, urging U.S. consumers to consider the economic harm of Trump-proposed tariffs as Trump weighs another presidential run. Trudeau highlighted the negative impacts of past tariffs on U.S.-Canada trade relations. Now, the Canadian leader called for mutual cooperation and warned against policies that could exacerbate inflation and harm supply chains. So will this spark renewed trade tensions between Canada and the U.S.? I don't know. But what I will say, Trudeau is gone. So does his words hold true? Should we be worried? Should we turn a blind eye to his comments? Is this something that we should really look into? Because again, we continue to give Canada national security defense by the way of our American troops, number one. Two, Donald Trump has stated that we've given Canada for a very long time over $200 billion each and every year to support their economy. And three, we take majority of a lot of Canadian exports rather than them taking a lot of American imports. So who's making majority of the money out of this connection, out of this partnership, out of this deal of us being allies in neighboring countries? It seems as though America is taking the toll and Canada is taking the benefits. So again, these are some of the things that we need to look at when we're talking about international relations. Now, Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin hit a major snag after his much anticipated debut launch of the new Glenn rocket. It was called off at the last moment. Now, don't forget that the Glenn rocket is very, very large. It's like 32 stories high, but it's still not larger than the SpaceX rocket. But the delay of this rocket caused by technical glitches underscores the challenges facing the private space industry. Blue Origin remains optimistic, emphasizing its commitment to delivering a successful launch in the near future. Now, with competitors like SpaceX pushing boundaries, can Bezos' space ambitions catch up? We need this in the space race. We need this because even if you guys are not space heads like myself, you're just mesmerized and taken back by the awe of space and the infinity that space has, where we don't know the beginning or end of space. But within this vast, galaxies and universes, we have an unlimited amount of planets that we have yet to explore. We can see them, but we cannot see the surface. We cannot see past their atmosphere, atmospheric protection, where our cameras can't go and look at the surface of these planets. I'm disinterested. But the most important thing out of a space race, especially to American independent countries, is the technology that's going to come from this. Now, I was going to put together a very comprehensive list of all the technologies that came from America due to the space race against Russia during kind of the Cold War, essentially. But again, there's been all sorts of innovations because of space races, and I'm just waiting for it. I'm in awe of this, okay? Yeah, he has some setbacks that happens a lot of times with these mass productions. We're talking about going into space. This is no easy task, but Jeff Bezos is basically stating that we're going to do what SpaceX is doing, but we're trying to do it better. We're trying to do it safer. That's what he's stating. Also, he's going to put a collage of different satellites to offer cell phone service, just as well as Elon Musk, SpaceX, by the way of SpaceX, Starlink. So look for that as well. Also, Jeff Bezos' ambitions with Blue Origin is to have the first independent country to land and put astronauts on the moon. Again, all of this is exciting. Hopefully you guys are excited as I am. If not, then I'll just move on. China's trade surplus has surged to an eye-popping $1 trillion just as former President-elect Donald Trump teases a political comeback. Economists argue that this development underscores the imbalance in global trade, particularly between China and the U.S. Critics are calling for stronger policies to address this economic disparity, while supporters of free trade argue against protectionist measures. As the U.S. braces for potential economic responses, could this reignite Trump's era trade wars? And hopefully, this does not raise prices for the American consumer. That is what we're mostly fearful of, because a lot of these things can really affect America and our prices that we pay. Because don't forget, let's just be real, America. Let's just be real. We complain about high gas prices. We complain about high milk, high eggs, high bread, high meat, anything that's more than what we are willing to spend for a particular grade and or genre of, let's say, milk and eggs and bread and meat. We're going to definitely let our countrymen, we're going to definitely let our politicians know that we have a problem with this, and what are you doing to fix this? What are you doing to drive gas prices down? What are you doing to drive milk, egg, bread, and meat prices down? Because your seat in office is temporary, because we're going to vote for the other guy. We're going to vote for the other lady next time. That is how Americans operate, so to speak. And if I'm wrong, I'm not wrong. Don't worry about it. So Donald Trump has blasted not only Governor Gavin Newsom, but also FEMA. But FEMA says that that the fire shouldn't be politicized. Well, there are, because when Donald Trump was in office the first time, he offered the state of California massive amount of water so their fire hydrants can be filled to prevent these mass fires to reaching people's homes. And year to date, the amount of people who lost their lives, unfortunately, in these LA fires have been 24 confirmed. So 24 Americans have lost their lives in these fires that possibly could have been prevented. But I want you guys to listen in on what Donald Trump had to say about the fire hydrants being empty as this tragedy unfolds.
Well, it's very sad, because I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish, which is in other areas, by the way, called the smelt. And for the sake of the smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. It was a terrible thing. And we're going to get that done. It's going to finally be done. I got it done from the federal side, and he didn't want to sign it, but it's not going to happen again like that. There's no reason. Can you imagine? You have farmers that don't have any water in California. They have plenty of water. They don't have a drought. They send it out to the Pacific, and it's crazy. So what's happening in California is a true tragedy. I know those areas very well. I have many friends living in those houses. That is a true tragedy. Nobody ever thought. I mean, virtually Beverly Hills and areas around Beverly Hills are being decimated. The biggest homes, some of the most valuable homes in the world are just destroyed. I don't even know. You know, you talk about a tax base. If those people leave, you're going to lose half.
And that was a quick report from Donald Trump speaking about these fires in LA. Now, one thing I wanted to point out, this is definitely non-political. Does everybody in Washington wear a blue suit of some shade or source? And how many blue suits do they have? That's just questions I have every time I see politicians. I don't really see them in black suits. Okay, I don't see them in gray suits. I don't see them in brown suits. I continue to see them in this navy blue suit with a different tie and a white shirt. Is this typical politics? Is there any pizzazz? Is there any fashion? Or is this I digress. Never mind. You guys have a great and wonderful day. This is Blacklogic.